I'm pretty ignorant, but
yeah.
you know, seriously, it's a big.
The gap between what the driver may expect and what really happens may be shorter than some other.
Yes, absolutely. Those are all huge benefits because everybody, I'm calling everybody drivers, all drivers, face the same problems on the road. You know, the other drivers, the conditions, the regulation, everything that goes with it. I think that Trans Systems has got it down to a transportation science almost, and really it is, because everything is predictable. I don't know anything about, if I didn't know anything about the company and they said first day get in truck number 14792 and go to pile site Midway and back in, that's what they do, they just back in. It's like, well, where's my bill of lading? Where's my everything that goes with it? When do I got to be home? What's my contact? When do I got to call them? There's so much stuff. I can go to Midway, 3 minutes, I'm loaded. Everything is there. The payloader has the weight scale on it. They know how much they're putting in you. Because I was at a site and we're just kind of observing, as far as how the loading and everything gets done. And it was so comical because I go, why aren't they pulling on the scale to weigh? Eliminated that by having the scale on the payloader. That guy in the payloader that toots his horn when you're loaded and you drive away, and the driver in the truck toots his horn. That's cool stuff. I mean, you don't have to strap it. You don't have to tarp it down or nothing.
It's the easiest to.
Oh.
Yeah.
When you overall, when you look at it, it's the simplest. Because look, you don't have to tarp. You know what tarping is like on a flatbed load? It's horrible. Most people can't even get up on top of the load to tarp it. But again, why are they tarping it? The shipper said, if you don't tarp it, XYZ company's not going to accept it because it's going to get dirty from the road and stuff. Well, it could take anywhere, and not exaggerating, 4 to 6 hours to tarp, to put that on there. Because why? Because the driver is responsible again. Hey, unload the load at XYZ company. Hey, this plywood got all wet here. Where do you want us to put it? Again, you can take it home for $10 a sheet or whatever because you just bought it.
You just bought it.
That happens all the time, the time. And that's why they tarp it. Responsibility. If it's snowing and it's a 40-mile-an-hour wind in North Dakota, and 10 o'clock at night, would you want to tarp that load?
Yeah.
You know what you'd say? I don't think so.
I don't know if I'm going to take that.
The wind is blowing, it's wet already.
Yeah.
So, those are just some of the things that people don't
maybe won't think of. I mean, in looking at maybe a trucking job from a job outside the industry, but your perspective is from within the industry, where...
Absolutely.
Let's talk about what kind of advantages you've seen with the customers that you work with, municipalities and corporate customers that work with you in driver training. What are some of the advantages they've been able to see?
The benefits that companies are telling, getting back to me, are subconsciously, whatever the term would be, drivers have this experience in their head. Our deer gonna run out like that all the time? In real life, no. Our dog's gonna run out. People gonna. I have one where I have a garbage truck or a waste truck sitting on the side, and when it's real windy, you know, the containers when they pick up on Wednesdays or Thursdays mornings, they blow all over the place. And this guy is walking across the street to pick up a container that blew over there. I put an invisible timing zone in there so that when your vehicle gets to this point, the guy walks across. You know, kind of expected, kind of not. I was working with a company, and I had this exercise in part of the curriculum, and a year later, on the follow-up at this company, the guy came in just kind of laughing and grinning. He says, you know, he says, I bucked this kind of training and I didn't want to do it. I thought, I got 20 years in a business. What are they going to teach me different? But I couldn't get that guy out of my head. And he said it actually happened. A guy walked out in front of him, and it's like, hey, he stopped. You know, really, that's cool stuff. Snow plowing. I work with a lot of companies, municipalities on the snow plow, which is a great program in here because it's so real that people get comfortable. Well, the funny thing is, we had a supervisor come in, and at that time I had 5 or 6 other drivers in for this county, and they go, oh no, it's Bob, the supervisor, whatever his name was, and he gets in, and he was a little bit kind of, you know, felt funny driving in front of his peers, but he drove and never looked in the, and he had a right wing, big huge wing on, you know, his big municipal trucks, and he's driving down the road plowing snow away. He kept looking in the left mirror, and we got done. It was a real short scenario, and I got done, and I just jokingly said to him, I says, you never looked in the right mirror at all. And then the guy in the crowd says, yeah, that's why he hit 19 mailboxes when he filled in for somebody. You know, it sucks, but that's true. You know, he drove it just like he drove his truck and knocked and this is a very true story. He knocked over 19 mailboxes filling in for a driver. Why? Well, he never looked in the right mirror. Hello? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, we can laugh at it. And a lot of times I think that we're laughing at something people do on here, but they're really laughing because they really did it.
They did it.
You know, the nice thing is you can expose people to so much. Benefits so some of the other benefits are when we get all different levels of experience, like people watching or people involved, everything from new drivers to, you know, senior drivers, 15, 20 years experience. Well, I always thought that was going to be my biggest problem, getting the guy that drove snowplow for a county for 35 years to come in here. I thought that would be my biggest problem. It's the opposite. That's my instructor, because he gets on and does things and he's seen things, and he approaches, you know, problem solving so different than somebody first getting into it, because somebody first getting into it would never know, you know, how to address certain things.
So there could be another advantage for some of the drivers to even watch and participate.
Absolutely. It's huge, yeah. And that's kind of how we're approaching that new program, the new training program. We're gonna have people observe when we do. So that's why that's gonna be so huge. They're getting all this seat time, watching somebody. You know, it's like we had a 4-door truck or a 6-door truck, and we had everybody in the truck went for a ride. You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They're thinking up here, even though they're not communicating or saying, but they're thinking and watching how people are doing things. So,
let's get back to that, getting back in the truck after the simulator. What's what kind of feedback do you get from drivers that have, what do they say after that they get back in the truck?
Everything is exactly like the simulator was, experienced drivers, but new drivers are so intimidated because even though they drive and they handle everything, and we talk about the weights and the sizes and the turning and everything, when it comes to real metal and real vehicle and visibility, then it's like, throw everything out the window then, because it wasn't like that at all. Because in a commercial vehicle, you're sitting quite a bit higher. So even though you don't see in front of you on the simulator, or like down here, you know, by the wheels, you really don't out there either. You know, you don't see that. I always tell people, you bought that already. If you got to look down there, you bought it. If you're not looking ahead, you know, right? I mean, that's true though, because there's no sense in looking down here if you're going that way, because you should be looking at least up there, you know, because, so that part, I think, is a reality check. You know, when people get in a vehicle from here, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
You know, but if after they accept that risk, or you know, that responsibility, then I think it finds its place. You know, it finds its place in why you're doing these things and how it does it, because it will handle the same way as a truck. So I'll be with you in a second. We're gonna do a commercial here pretty soon.
Pretty expensive.
No, we're cheap. We're cheap. So did you come to drive? Okay.
Rick's their manager at the East Grand Forks.
Oh.
So they bring some drivers.
Skid pad in the last scenario.
Yep. And I'll get. Is it okay with you guys if I stop you?
Oh yeah.